Hello, my friends. Welcome to Let's Talk, produced by Wise Mindly Inc. I'm your host, Coach Che Marville. In this space, we dive into transformative conversations that hopefully inspire you to grow, heal, and have a deeper connection to yourself and to the world around you. So let's talk, let's connect, let's grow together. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Let's Talk. On today's episode, I have, I like special guests. And today I have a very special guest, Joe Arcuri. My guest today is one of these very rare leaders. He doesn't raise his voice, but yet he shapes industry. He's a Canadian with deep roots in Italy, raised in Toronto, and throughout his career, he helped transform how we connect, how we communicate, and how we power our future. Joseph is the CFO of NRStor, the company behind the Oneida project, set to be the largest battery storage facility in Canada. And we're going to talk about why that's so important. I could go on, but I know he's getting very embarrassed. I can mention all of his medals of honor from, Queen Elizabeth, King Charles, and so forth.
You're making me blush.
His volunteer work with seniors, his commitment to his family, and just his grace. Joe, welcome to Let's Talk. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm anxious to have this conversation.
Oh, wow. Anxious to have this conversation. Before we really get into what you're doing right now, because it's so critical to our future, tell us a little bit about, where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Italy, and at the ripe age of 4, my dad had the courage to leave Italy and come to Canada. And from the age of 4, I grew up in Toronto area, and now I currently reside in Thornhill. But I grew up just basically on the streets of Toronto.
But your parents, they're such interesting people. They did everything they could when they got here. Like, they tried as many things as they could to just make a life for you guys.
That's correct. I think that was first on their agenda, was to make sure that we had a prosperous and safe life. My dad was a humble person, even my mom. My dad had the education up to grade 1. He graduated with honors, and same with my mom. And like I said, they had the courage, and I'll tell you a little story.
Please. When
I was old enough to appreciate what he had done, I asked him, I said, "Dad, why did you leave Italy?" And he said, "Well, I knew if I didn't leave that you and your brother would leave me." And as a result, he had the courage to uproot his family and come to Canada. And he worked as a caretaker all his life. And I'll tell you a little funny story there too. Growing up, you really don't appreciate various economic achievement or turbulence. Yeah. And you always thought, "Oh, my dad's a caretaker," but it was a leader. And one summer I worked with him, and I realized the impact he had on people and the affection that people showed him. So growing up, you're a little bit embarrassed to tell people your dad's a caretaker because he would clean up everyone's mess. But as I look back and just ponder on his achievements, I was extremely proud of him. And my mom worked the rag trade. She was a seamstress for more than 35 years. Would take the bus all the way down to Spadina and work the various rag trade buildings there that were prominent in Toronto area at the time. Yeah.
A lot of Italians came to Canada 10 years prior, or 20 years prior. That's to
correct.
That. You didn't come to family. You guys came really on your own, didn't you?
We did come on our own. We had my aunt and uncle here who helped us. But we were, just a small group. And then you kind of leverage your community and make friends along the way who support and help you. Because, as they say, it takes a village to raise a family or to help people settle in a new country.
Now, I didn't say in the introduction that you actually have your CPA. You're an accountant.
That's correct.
By, trade.
That's correct.
But how did you jump from becoming an accountant to being like a tech leader?
Mm-hmm.
And part B is, how did you have that vision when you grew up in a family that didn't come from like technology or what should we say, like they weren't like professionals, they're working people? How did you create a new vision for yourself?
Well, I think it was always impressed upon us that we should go to school, and school was the panacea. It would help you change your life. And then somehow I stumbled across, at the time it was a CA designation, and I realized, one, it was fait accompli that I would go to university, and then I realized, I think I read an article about chartered accountants and that they made a lot of money, and coming from modest means, I thought that was a motivator.
Yes.
But what it did is that education and that background, it's really, you're trainable. You can learn anything because you have the foundation. And as a result, throughout my career, I've been able to adapt to various industries, such as the internet and technology, and now in the energy sector.
Do you think it's still true now that going to school is the thing that's going to change your life?
No, I don't think that's the thing anymore. I think it could be part of that, but I think it's more because you can now educate yourself in many respects. But I think the foundation of success, let's call it, is embedded in hard work, in integrity, in doing unto others as you would have others do unto you. I think it's a deep respect for diversity in thought.
Yes.
And also diversity in people. And I think those principles help you succeed, I believe. So education is important, but education, it's often said that education is everything you learn outside of school. Mm-hmm. So if you take those principles, and again, it's founded in integrity, in honesty, in respectful, you comport yourself in a respectful manner. You don't have to agree. Yes. And also realizing that there's often competing objectives. And that doesn't mean one is right or the other is wrong. It just means that is life, and things compete for priorities or capital or other things. And you have to accept that and try to navigate and be malleable such that you get it right as opposed to trying to be right.
So you started off in a really traditional way, PwC.
That's correct.
Now, what was it at that time that inspired you or tickled you, to start to co-found a tech company,
mm-hmm.
which the next company was Bird on a Wire.
That's correct.
Which is actually where we met.
That's correct.
But I'm interested in that space.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? What is that story?
So the story is. I'll give props to a mutual friend, Lori and Gable. I had the financial foundation of decision making, but I hadn't the experience of decision making, and as a result, I wanted that experience of being a decision maker, and so I set out on my own after PwC. I got a good foundation, and I became a, I don't want to say consultant, but I helped entrepreneurs answer the question, why did you get into business?
I didn't know that. Oh, really?
That's
okay.
Correct. And the reason, and when you ask an entrepreneur, why did you get into business? Often the answers you hear are, I wanted independence. I wanted to succeed financially. I wanted to make decisions. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to do my own thing. But if you break it down to its fundamental aspect, the reason one goes into business is to get out of business. And so how do you answer that question? Well, what does that mean, to get out of business? Oftentimes it's forced upon you. It could be health reasons, financial reasons, or it could be success. And so the reason you do get into business is to get out of business. And it might take 6 years, it might take 60 years, it might take 3-5 generations. But ultimately, you have to extricate yourself from that business. So I helped individuals answer that question and prepare for that event, whether it was through unforeseen circumstances or whether it was a planned exit.
Fascinating. So you were helping people go through dramatic transitions, whether it was forced upon them or it was a necessity or it was,
Time to retire.
time to retire. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would help them answer that question, and oftentimes they would have that epiphany, right? Oh, I think that's true. That's why I did go into business, such that I can realize the value that I've created over a lifetime or the time scope, because there's no time frame. It comes either you plan for it or it becomes a decision that you don't make because it's forced upon you, whether it's through a bank or whether it's through health reasons or other reasons.
So how did you meet Lorian and Matt?
Okay, I met them through a friend of mine, a Greek friend of mine, John Rizakos. He had just finished law school, and I believe Lorian had finished law school as well.
Yes.
And Lorian needed an accountant, and although I didn't market myself as an accountant, but I helped him, and then I helped from a distance and sometimes from a closer point of view, helped them navigate through the internet stage.
Right. Interlog. They had created
That's
Interlog,
correct.
and that was the first. If I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, someone. I believe that was the first internet service provider in Canada.
It was one of the first. It was the largest at the time. And then I helped them modestly sell that business.
Yes.
And throughout that process, I kind of became an internet person. And then I had my own practice again. And then I got an email from Lorian, and it says, "Hey, we're starting a new venture. Do you want in?" Because I guess I'd earned their respect at the time.
Yes.
And I looked at that email. It was very short, as you know. Lorian is
brief.
He's brief. And I looked at that email, and I had a pretty successful practice. And I looked at it, and I clicked reply, and I said yes, not knowing what it was, but ready for an adventure. And quite frankly, replying to that email changed my life. It allowed me to start a tech startup at a time when the internet was booming, but when we started, it was a tumultuous time for the internet. Often it was around 1999, 2000, often referred to as .bomb.
Mm-hmm.
But we were successful in growing that company, and then I helped. I knew some folks at AT&T, and we sold the business to AT&T at the time. I made some money, not enough to retire, but enough to secure my future. And quite frankly, most of the money went into my kids' education fund. At the time, I was wise enough to do that, even though I didn't know how many kids I was going to have. But we put that aside, and most sincerely, it changed my life. It gave
You're being very humble, though. So I want to mention just two things.
Okay.
One is that Lorian and Matt, the founders of Interlog, I think one of the things that they really have given the economy in the world is great relationships and trust.
That's correct.
I think everything was based on being in friendship, and I don't mean like friendship like, oh, I'm influencing you.
That's correct.
And how much money do you have, that kind of thing, but friendship as like, do I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
I trust you with something really precious.
That's correct.
And so I think that is a very special base, and many of us who were involved at that time are still, like, if we ran into each other, it would be like we're talking to a family member we liked.
It would be a big hug and a big thank you,
Yes,
I think.
right. But two, in regards to you, you were really negotiating and like I would say gentle parenting of relationships and coaxing different kinds of relationships. Like, I would love for you to talk about that more, because right now we're in this period of time where there's not a lot of nuance. People have no attention span, and relationships that also have an outcome of business don't seem to be like talked about or cultivated.
I learned a lesson at a young age, I guess. And that lesson is, and I love euphemisms, I love expressions.
Yes.
It's a brief way of expressing profound and deep thoughts and philosophies. And the thing I learned is the people you see on the way up are the same people you see on the way down. So how you treat people on your way up is how you will be treated on the way down. And we all have ups and downs over our careers. Profound. And so I learned that, and I think I also learned that if you're respectful, if you treat people the way, again, you want to be treated, if you treat them that they're intelligent, that they have competing objectives, and the goal is to land at a spot where you both feel a little pain, but you also feel like you've succeeded. And so I think that's the most important part of it, because if you can quickly jump to the conflict part of your discussion as opposed to the trust part of your discussion, then you achieve results faster, and again, it'd be more beneficial to each organization or each person or each member of your family, whatever it is, right?
What was driving you though at that time? Do you remember? Was it to get the deal? Was it to make the money? Was it to grow the company? Like, do you remember?
I just loved the environment. I loved what I was doing. So I had this peace, internal peace on that part of it, although it was a bit risky. And then I thought I was going to make $1 billion, right? and I learned a lesson there as well. And that is, you can't chase money. It comes to you. It's like, I love basketball. And in basketball, if you try to steal the ball, most of the times you miss.
Yeah.
You can't steal it. And so when you lunge for that ball to steal it, you miss, and then the person has the ball and makes an easy layup. A steal comes to you, and it kind of lands on your lap, and it comes through hard work and being in the right spot at the right time. And so I think it's being patient like that and waiting for the ball to come to you as opposed to trying to get it, missing it, and then that person has an easy layup. So that's important. I think being patient, being wise, and being totally transparent, I think.
Do you think those attributes matter now in the new world?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can't succeed on your own, and anyone who says they've succeeded on their own is lying to themselves. You need a support group. You need smarter people around you. You need to not be afraid to have smarter people around you. You need to be confident in your own skin and allow that someone's going to be know things that you may not know. And if you were to plot your knowledge on 2 lines, let's say I plot your knowledge on 1 line and my knowledge on 1 line, and my line might appear longer.
Yes.
And then you might think, oh, he's smarter. But really, if you look at it, if you were to plot how many points are on each of our lines, there's an infinite amount of points on my line, and there's an infinite amount of points on your line.
True.
And as a result, we can connect every one of my points or things I know that you don't know, and there would be a corresponding point on your line. So because they appear to be different lengths, in reality, in kind of like a physics point of view, there's infinite amount of points on every line. So therefore, we both have infinite amount of knowledge and infinite amount of points where our knowledge is different or doesn't align, or I have information that you don't and you have what I...
Yes, or they intersect.
That's correct.
And that we can learn, we're always able to learn from one another.
That's correct.
And so in a way, like for you, building this really dynamic career and building companies is like sort of gathering and harnessing energy and knowledge.
Correct.
And that's sort of driving you to the next place.
Correct. Because I realized I can't do it on my own. Perfect manifestations of that concept is a woman with whom I work. Her name is Annette Verschuren, a wonderful Canadian leader in Canada.
Extraordinary.
And she has a few things that she says, and she always surrounds herself with smart people, kind people, trusting people. And as a result, she's been able to succeed more so than I would ever imagine I could succeed, and I have the pleasure every day of working side by side with her.
I never thought about you in the energy sector, and not that you wouldn't. I just always kind of thought of you more as a tech guy, right? And then when I discovered that you were in this area that's exploding and growing, and then also we don't know a lot about it, that's part of why I wanted to talk to you, because I'm so curious about what it means to have a battery farm, and how and
what
how,
is a battery park?
What is it, and or park, and how it powers it powers this province, or powers the country, and then what that means. But I think from a symbolic and spiritual point of view, I love the idea that you're in the energy sector, and literally it's about energizing how we exist.
That's correct. I think there are parallels, not in technology or in service delivery, but there are parallels, and the parallel I draw is when we started Bird on a Wire, a tech company. It was a nascent business. It wasn't really around. There was no service like we were providing.
It was hosting,
which
is now
correct.
Everyone has that. That's just
right.
Naturally.
That's naturally. Yeah. So we would host internet critical infrastructure for customers, and so it was just starting out. And I think when we started, we were very early, and a lot of folks didn't understand what it was and thought, well, I have a closet, and I put my server in the closet, and it works. Well, that's kind of a little bit naive, because if you have a mission critical asset, you need to have it in the right environment and the right service. So it was new, it was up and coming. It would become accepted, and that's what we do in the battery storage industry, or in the storage industry. So what we try to do is we create a lot of energy, or a lot of electricity. Oftentimes we do it at the wrong time of the day. And so what happens to it? It's a perishable commodity. It goes away. So why not store it? And that's what batteries do. They store it and then give it back to the grid when the grid needs it. So if, for example, wind turbines are running at night, our power consumption is lower at night, and where does it go? We either have to turn them off or give it away, or pay to give it away. So why not store that in batteries? And then in the morning when we wake up, and you turn on, your blow dryer, and you take your shower, and you turn on your coffee, and you maybe turn on your dishwasher, we'll give it back to the grid at that time when consumption increases.
But how do you get the energy?
We tap into the grid, all those transmission lines you see on highways or transmission corridors. We tap into that, and basically it just diverts it to our batteries to charge it. So we don't generate. Right. But we charge our batteries through connecting to the existing grid.
And the benefit is that you don't have the same pressure on the systems all at the same time. So let's say it's a absolutely incredibly hot day. Everybody's got their air conditioning on. You're bringing in energy from other sources.
Well, that we store it in our battery.
You store it.
So before batteries, what would happen is on those very hot days or high load days where there's a lot of consumption, we would have backup gas plants. And so there's a government organization called the ISO, which buys all the power that people generate.
Yes.
And so they would dispatch a gas plant to start up and say, we're going to have a peak, therefore please start up. And so gas plants are needed, and they're an important part of the grid, but oftentimes they take a long time to ramp up, and they consume gas. And batteries don't consume gas. It's a clean technology.
This is it.
And as a result, you could mitigate or avoid or delay the use of various gas plants and burning fossil fuels or something like that. So that's kind of the green part of what we do, which is very important. We position ourselves as a company that strives to make profit with purpose. And as a result, our purpose is to, in our little way, green our grid, and also provide services which we think are important to the grid, such that when you turn on your air conditioner, it works because there's not an outage.
So fascinating. But the other part of this, and this is where I'm just so curious about how this evolved, is this strategic partnership that you have with Six Nations, and which also I think is fascinating because, Six Nations is born, it's one of the, earlier democracies, their structure, and it's born out of a process of like active democracy where six different nations are contributing and creating and building together, and trust is a huge part of that. And so how did you and the team develop this relationship, and what does it mean?
Well, it's a profound relationship. I think it started with a fellow with whom I work. His name's Jason Rio. He had a relationship with the CEO of Development Corporation, and his name is Matt Jameson.
Yes.
And they had they over time built a bond. This was probably 12 years ago. And then 8 years ago, we partnered with Six Nations in the truest sense of the word partnership. So we owned everything 50-50, and all the decision making was made together. And I think it's important in true reconciliation. It's important in how infrastructure projects should be developed. The first step of any infrastructure project, I believe, is to find an Indigenous partner.
Yes.
Because we have the privilege of using their land.
Yeah.
Right? And as a result, you need to respect that. You need to understand that. And then you need to play your part in the reconciliation as part of and what that means to me, I'll say, and hopefully to many, is reconciliation in the form of acknowledging our embarrassing past, and then how do you attempt to correct that in your way, because you can't change the past. And part of it is economic reconciliation.
Yes.
And making sure that our partners, in this sense, Six Nations of the Grand River, and then subsequently Mississaugas of the Credit, also are a partner in the Sonaina project, is ensuring there's an economic benefit that accrues to the community, such that when there are distributions of money from the project, they go to the communities and the development corporations, such that they can do beautiful things, whether it's enhancing the water quality or building schools or fire trucks or other things that oftentimes we take for granted.
Yes.
So it's our little way of contributing to the reconciliatory process, but more importantly, it's our way of ensuring that that community succeeds in the future and is able to leverage what we've done in the form of the project, and also in the form of ensuring that money does flow to the community, is leveraging that to do greater things and to become an economic impact on our country.
Oh man, I love this. Well, and it's co-ownership. So it's not partnership just on paper and consulting.
No.
It's co-ownership that then becomes the seed of other things that you're doing together, but also the communities and the nations can do.
Correct.
Oh
it
man,
it is a true partnership. It is true ownership. I would have to say it's one of the privileges of my life to having been part of that partnership and ensuring that there is economic benefit to the community. And I think again, any material infrastructure project or any project built in Canada should involve an Indigenous community in a true sense of the word as a partnership, ensuring that they own material stake in the project, ensuring that they're part of the decision-making process, ensuring that you respect their history and culture and
Yes.
and practices, and learning from it. Because once again, diversity is crucial to growth and success.
Yeah.
And it's not just diversity in religion or diversity in culture. It's also diversity in thought and customs and upbringing.
I think that's where it starts. And what excites me about this part of what you're doing is that I think this is one of the things that makes us, if we can do more of it, distinct in the world, in the sense of moving the notion of truth and reconciliation beyond ideology or philosophy or the right thing or the wrong thing or a moral objective, to how do you activate that in a economic sense that allows human beings to heal, but also grow into more, all human beings, not like I feel like sometimes when we're talking about reconciliation, it's about Indigenous people, Indigenous people healing, and that's part of it. But how can they heal if we don't heal? And all the different kinds of people that are here, if we are not part of that process, like I just finished this project about enslavement in Canada, and one of the not so good stories and but also unique stories about Canada is that Indigenous people and African people were enslaved here together for 200 years plus, and our lives are integrated. And so we fall into this idea of like guilt and shame and not talking.
Yes.
Because we say, well, how do we make this real? This is real, what you're doing.
It is. I think it is. Again, we are a small part of that.
Yes.
I don't think we. I think the Six Nations community, that they're the driver of their destiny, and they've I believe are on a beautiful path, and we're a small part of that. I don't want to portray that we're fixing it all, or that we're,
of course not.
We're a major part of it. We are a small part of it, an important part of it, and because of that, we're proud of our association, and we're proud that we, again, if we put the community's interests ahead of ours, then we will land in the right spot.
Yes.
We will get it right, because you get back tenfold what you give. And so if we, again, put their interests and their customs and traditions and way of doing things ahead of ours, and we adapt and we embrace the change, then I think we will land in the right spot over time. It's an arduous process, but we will eventually land at the right spot. And it might take generations, but
right.
we'll get there.
Well, you used the word profound, and I wonder if this experience and the relationships you've been building over the last, decade, how that impacts what you're doing within the community that you live in or work in or create in. I know you've done a lot of volunteer work over the years.
I do. It's almost my second job. I do volunteer. I volunteer for an organization called Village Charities. I have the privilege of being the chair of that organization, and we provide services to seniors. Well, actually, we call it from cradle to rocking chair. Provide daycare services, provide dance services, provide independent living, long-term care. I can't remember them all. I'm sure I'm forgetting many. And it's my way of thanking, I guess, the world in which I live, and the part of my my sphere of influence.
Yes.
Because if we do, again, if you give back, then you get it back tenfold. And I'm not talking financially. I'm talking in satisfaction and in self-esteem, in achievement, and many, many things. And as a result, I'm blessed to have that privilege of interacting with various parts of our society and realizing we're all going to be seniors, and oftentimes...
Hopefully, right?
Yes, correct. And realizing that as we age, things aren't as linear as we're used to, and oftentimes they face challenges that we take for granted because we're well. And again, I think it's made me a better person, and it's helped me understand others. It's helped me just be a better person.
Do you think you're a better leader now?
Absolutely, I am. I think because I have the experience and the maturity of having made mistakes. I have the experience and maturity of having been exposed to diverse people in thought and challenges, and realizing that you have to make things happen. Again, I told you I like a lot of expressions, and one of them is, some people want it to happen, some people make it happen, and some people ask, what happened? So I don't want to be that person that asks, oh my God, what happened? I want to be the person that helps make it happen, whatever it is, and it is pervasive in all aspects of our life, whether it's our work, our home, our family, our volunteerism. There's always something we can make happen.
Yeah, you're like happening. I have a small question for
Sure.
you to end our, conversation. Are you optimistic about 2025 and
yes.
and going forward?
Yes.
Why? Why are you?
If you go back, I'm a bit of a historian, and I'm fascinated by the world wars. And if you look back at what people lived through, many died unfortunately, we always succeed. Humanity always succeeds. There are serious errors we make.
Yes.
There are serious miscalculations we make, but the human being is so impenetrable as a society that we succeed. It's an arduous road. It's a winding road. It's not linear, but we always, I think we always end up in a decent spot, right? Not in a perfect spot, because maybe there's no such thing. So I am optimistic. I believe we'll get over the challenges we're facing. I believe the way we're hardwired as humans, we are impenetrable, and we can overcome virtually everything. And if you look at all the communities, all the challenges of all communities throughout the world, all groups, they're still here.
Yeah.
Most are still here.
I think this is why I just like you so much. Optimism is a muscle.
That's
I like
right.
to use it.
That's right.
Listen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm so grateful for your time and your friendship. I'm excited about what you guys are doing, and I'd love for you to come back, bring different team members. Let's, chat more. But Joe, thank you for being here, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
All right, thank you for the invitation. I enjoyed myself.
My friends, thank you for joining me on Let's Talk, produced by Wise Mindly Inc. I hope today's conversation inspired you to take action, reflect, or embrace on a new way of thinking, on a new path. And if you enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully you did, don't forget to subscribe, share, and even leave a review. Reviews matter. They allow us to do way more than we're doing now. Let's continue the journey of growth and well-being together. Until next time, I'm Coach Che Marville. Stay connected, stay curious, and let's keep talking.